mic, it's a beer lover's dream. As we kick it back, we always build that team. Check your equipment, we'll guide you through. With a little hot magic, the craft starts with you. So grab your gear, let's make it a night. Brewing the best, let's keep it tight. The mic's blasting and the brews keep rolling. Join the conversation, home brewing's calling.
You're listening to the Beer Craft Home Brewing Podcast. Tune in every Wednesday night at 6:30 Pacific for a dose of beer and brewing banter with your hosts, Ben Holm and Andrew Ziegler.
So hop aboard for a little wit and wisdom in the Pacific Northwest, because it's always beer 30 on the Beer Craft.
Welcome back to the Beer Craft. Andrew, how the heck are you?
Oh, I'm doing really good, Ben. How you?
I'm doing all right. Hey, we're here tonight. I'm here to prove a point tonight.
What are we doing tonight?
I want to dispel a little myth that I am a single note player, a mono fermentationalist. Mono fermentationalist. Yeah, I am not I am not strictly interested in just beer, though I do talk about a lot today.
I drink a lot of things.
I brought some cool.
Oh, yeah.
I brought something.
Are we
really
talking
cool.
about something?
We're talking about something. So I brought some wine.
Oh.
This is homemade wine.
Homemade wine.
And this is actually a pretty slick. This is a 2022 Malbec Bonarda Syrah.
Okay.
That a buddy of mine made and gifted me a bottle for my birthday.
Yum.
So I'm really excited to.
It's 4 years old.
Yeah, it's up there. Let's pour some, because I've been waiting to make that. Waiting to drink this.
You know what time it is?
It's fucking beer 30. It's wine 30. It's beer 30. We're drinking wine and beer 30. That's what we're doing.
Wine 30 and beer 30.
That's fine. It's fine. I'm thirsty. It turns out this is hydrating us too.
We are drinking 360.
Yeah.
Well, cheers, man.
Cheers, man. Let's pour that out. We've corked it. We've let it breathe. It smells really good. The heat's finally on in the studio, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
This is good. It has been a hot minute since you had some heat up in here.
It has. I don't know how long it's been.
Yeah, I bet somebody's been listening.
Chronicle.
Somebody was probably listening.
Oh boy.
Good. So that is a really deep. I
think it's been 2 months at least.
That is a really deep red. Look at that friggin' color. That is so
nice. Sparkly ruby.
Yeah. Oh, the legs are good. Like, nice viscosity on that. I really like seeing that. I definitely get the. I'm familiar with Syrah grape. I'm definitely can smell the.
That's really good. It's dark and deep.
Yeah, full body. But it's a big red.
My nose isn't working for this, maybe. I smell a lot of of the yeast, the wine yeast in it.
Yeah, I'm getting fruit,
and
I'm getting like a big jammy hit.
I had to stick my nose.
You got to put your nose all the way in there. Swirl the glass around.
It seems like a big glass to me.
This is a huge fucking glass.
It's a glass I just want to drink out of.
This glass would probably hold half the fucking bottle if you filled it up to the top. So don't do that. So we're drinking. This is a wine kit. Wine Expert put this one out for 2022.
I like the viscosity of that.
This is one of their limited release series. So always some fun blends that you can't get. They usually do pre-orders starting in like October or November, and then throughout the new year they release those. So this is actually a couple years old.
Do I have to pre-order it?
Generally, yeah. These are limited release kind of things. So they just started arriving for this year.
That's how much I know about this subject.
Right? Yeah.
So Ben,
you ever done a wine kit?
No, I've not.
Man,
I've never done one.
So wine kits really got their start they got really popular in Canada. In fact, most of the brands that are available they come out of Canada. Canada's got some interesting liquor laws.
Yeah.
Still, like, you can't just buy it in the grocery store. You have to go to, basically the liquor store.
Yeah, where they sell
and
it.
you pay a lot of taxes for it. They tax the heck out of it.
And you can only go there between 9 and 5.
Right. They're pretty strict on that. Yeah. So making your own beer and wine is pretty popular for our friends in the north. And these wine kits, they're not just like, it's not just like, oh, go pick some berries or buy some frozen berries. These are the juices they're putting together in these kits are the same ones professional winemakers get to choose from.
Do they?
Yeah, not every wine label grows their own grape, for one
they
thing.
don't? Wait a minute. Hold on. What are we
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about?
yeah.
If you make wine, you don't have a vineyard?
You don't even have to make the wine to be a winemaker. How about that?
You don't even have to make the wine. Because
you
what,
can buy finished wine and put your own label on it.
That's cool.
And poof, you have a winery.
You know what? Nobody's done that with beer yet.
Well, I mean, you got the alternating proprietorships. You've got some of those like contract brewing kind of things. So you could like have a full license, be a contract, have someone contract brew for you, and all you do is sell your own that somebody else made.
Right.
That's not even illegal. It's not even weird.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. So the wine camp has something very similar. So these grapes. Today we've got the Malbec Bonarda Syrah.
Any
winemaker, like this is the same sort of
stuff.
You can buy this stuff. Yeah, like a lot of growers
in like what
200
gallon, 200 gallon totes.
You might be buying the grape, or you could be buying the processed juice.
What am I buying here? What am I purchasing from you?
So in a wine kit, you've got mostly it's a grape concentrate made from the actual grapes.
Wait a minute, is this like boxed wine I'm buying from you?
It looks like a giant box wine. In fact, it's like usually about 4 to on the upwards of 4 gallons of concentrate, and it's the same kind of bag that they use for the box wine.
Oh, so I better not put this in the fridge and just do it.
Right, it does not have the spouty bit. It's unfermented, so it's not ready for that. Yeah.
So,
you'll also have that's all in there. You've got the yeast, you've got the oak, you've got stabilizers, you've got all of the bentonite for clarity.
Is that
everything's done for you? The juices are acid balanced. They're ready to be fermented. Right in the box, and the instructions couldn't be simpler. Well, it is a concentrate. You are going to add water to it, and most of that
4 gallons. You said I'm getting 4 gallons.
Yeah, so 4 gallons of concentrate, maybe like 2.5 to 3 gallons, depending on the kit. But they'll all make 6 gallons of wine, so you're going to be adding some water to it. Yeah, the biggest reason for that is shipping 6 gallons of liquid to then be fermented somewhere else. Shipping liquids is the most expensive way to do things. Yeah, it's really costly. Wine Expert and a couple of these brands, they have some pretty low temp pasteurization process that has great color, flavor, and aroma stability for being a concentrate. And it's really easy. Everything else is in the box. So you've got a little dry pack, you've got instructions, step 1, step 2, step 3. I think for the average, for anybody getting started with it, you're looking at probably about 30 minutes on your first day
to do it.
And that's going to include cleanup.
Okay.
Right. I think I don't have the instructions in front of me, but step 1 is there's bentonite clay. Bentonite clay is a it's a classic. Oh shoot! What's the word that I'm looking for? My brain's now on vacation. It is a classic clarifier, kind of like binds impurities and like makes them heavier. They fall out of suspension. But it's still a clay, which means it's a microfine particulate.
Okay.
So you look at this bag of bentonite, you open it up, and it looks like really small, pebbly little pieces, and those are actually clumps and need to be beaten into submission. So some hot water and a beater, and you really got to beat your bentonite in there. Beat your bentonite up. So that's like step 1, and that goes right into a sanitized fermenter, and just mix it in there.
Bam.
Then your juice goes in.
5 gallon carboy works.
Well, they recommend 8 gallon.
8 gallon.
Yeah, we want some headspace. If we decide to degas the wine,
can I find 8 gallon carboy?
I've seen 7 gallon, but I haven't seen 8 gallon.
Yeah, I've seen like 6s.
Yeah. 8 gallon gives you some opportunity if you want to do some degassing.
I'm looking at a bucket.
It's a big bucket.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But it sanitizes.
I can handle that.
Everything goes in there. and then top up with 6 gallons. But I usually rinse the bag out too, so it's not in the instructions. But when you pour the juice in there, there's still some stuff that clings to that bag. So with the same water supply I intend to use to fill it up, I'll rinse that bag and get all that juice out, because it doesn't do any good to line my garbage can. That's my yeast food. Damn it, I paid for it. Get it in
exactly.
there. So rinse the bag.
Okay, and if beer is wort, is wine?
They do have a new word. It's they call it must.
Must.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's your unfermented.
My unfermented, prepared must. Yeah. All right.
Now this different. So it's a little different than traditional grape winemaking. They've already juiced it for us, and they've had, to get it nice and red, it has been in contact with skins, grape skins. And they've done that for us, and they ship it. It looks like Welch's grape juice coming out of the bag.
They've crushed it.
Yeah,
and
they've done that for us.
Aged it
They've
also
they've acid balanced it. They've made it ready
during the pressing.
Yeah, if you were growing your own grapes, you would harvest and take the quality grapes and run them through a crusher stemmer and get the juice out, and you would start fermenting on some of those skins.
A friend of mine has a grapevine.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a start this year.
There you go. Light some fence line with some grape.
Yeah.
It takes about 20 pounds of grape to make a gallon of wine.
Yeah.
It's fairly inefficient.
He's had his wine for a couple years.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many he gets. He probably gets 10 bunches. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
100
but they are good. No,
100 pounds of grape will get you, net out 5 gallons of wine.
I wouldn't necessarily grow them for the wine making.
It's tough out here on the west side.
Yeah.
There's very few.
I grow things like that for for snacks.
We have very few cold. There's very few cold tolerant. I mean, we don't have very many Sundays compared to south of us or east of us, for that matter. We also have colder temperatures, so that kind of limits the kind of wines that we can. There's some Pinot Noirs and some white grapes that do okay in that. They don't get the sugar development they would on the east side.
This is a mountainous kind of vine, and its grapes are kind of smaller.
Are they with seeds and bitter skin kind of varieties?
No, really good, really delicious. They weren't bitter. They weren't bitter at all.
I find a lot of wine grapes, eating them off the vine is tough. There's way more sugar in a wine grape than, say, your Concord table grape. And they hurt my face to eat them.
Yeah,
your little
sweet.
salivary gland starts sparking off. And some of the skins are heavily tannic, and we like that in our wine.
The flavor I'm getting in the wine is kind of that grape flavor that's not fermentable.
Well, some of those other flavors I get, I'm not very good at this. This is like a whole, there's a whole vocabulary for wine of, the different kind of flavor descriptors. And then they've codified it to, this is the source of that flavor, whether it's like green apple or pepper, or kind of those kind of things. We might be
talk about that.
Yeah, the Homebrew Club might be doing a wine sensory panel, and it's different than the funky beer sensory panel that we just finished up. This would be more like, okay, this is
flaws you find in wine.
This is this is where the cool stuff comes from.
Right now, do you know how many overlap? I mean, there, as far as beer faults and wine faults, because you can, with poor sanitation, you're going to still have indole, butyric acid, acyclovir. You can still have lactic acid, acetobacter bacteria with making vinegar. Hey, vinegar, right? Yeah. Vinegar started with wine. It's all related.
Yeah.
It's about keeping it at bay.
And so you've got all that stuff in the bucket. You add your yeast. It's gonna hang out for 14 to 21 days. You can do a secondary. You do your stabilizing or your clearing. In secondary, you're going to let it hang out for another 4 to 6 weeks, or 2 to 3 weeks, depending on the kit. And then you can package it and park it. That's the hard part. Playing hide the wine and not cheating. I did find a 2019 Pinot Noir in the closet a couple years when I took over the brew shop. And that wine was fantastic. There was a 2020 Super Tuscan that was phenomenal as well. Wow. So, again, this is one of those, hobbies that's trying to teach me patience. Yes.
Well, you just have to make enough of it to
make more is the whole thing. Yeah.
You have to make a double batch every time. You put one batch away, and then you drink one batch on time. And then if you keep doing that, I mean, you're going to have double batches in 2 years.
Yeah. My dad makes a lot more wine than I do. And we got drunk on his wine, and we tried to figure out, like, how much wine does he need to store if he wants to drink nothing but his own wine, and he doesn't want to drink anything under 6 months old.
When the apocalypse happens, how many bottles do I need buried in my backyard?
How many racks of wine do I need? And it was an obscene number. He hasn't gotten there yet, so we're trying hard.
You need
he lives in Arizona, so
can you just like say a bottle a day?
Well, that's what the French recommend. Yeah. If you're a woman, a bottle a day.
Shit.
For men, it's 2 bottles a day. That is the French Medical Association, or whatever it's like our American Medical Association.
Yeah.
The French have one, and their recommendations for wine for adult males is 2 bottles a day is okay. That's a good start.
You know what?
And
I wish
one
we would have introduced this episode as 2 bottles a day.
Maybe we'll call that. Maybe we'll make that the title. Yeah. 2 bottles a day. 2 bottles a day is a pretty good start. So your wine kit. 2 bottles a day. That wine kit's going to be about 28 to 30 bottles. Full tilt, so that's really, if it takes you 6 months to make, you're done in 15. That's kind of rough. You make more wine. You got to make way more wine.
That's a lot of wine.
So we're drinking a pretty premium product. The retail on this one would be about $180 to $190, maybe $200 in certain markets. And that price point
5 gallons.
for 30 bottles, you're still sub $7 a bottle. Which, $7 a bottle is the new $2 chuck.
Is it really?
Yeah,
$7 chuck.
It's like $7 chuck. Inflation's a bitch. But there are.
Has it been renamed that?
No, they still call it $2 chuck.
They still call it $2 chuck. It's $6.99.
You're going to take it up to the register, and you're going to pay $6.99 for it. Yeah. But there's some decent wines.
Okay.
Like Costco. I remember Costco had a collection. They had the Cupcake Winery had and they were all named after like pastries and cakes. So I think the red velvet cake was the first one I ever bought. Shoot, that was $7.99 a bottle. We bought it by the case. That was a very good wine.
Well, if you don't want to buy the bottom of the barrel, then I mean, this is good.
So yeah, you can if you're getting into wine and you don't know what the hell you like and you don't know what's out there and you don't understand any of it, welcome to the party. Here's the tip is like use those little wine scoring things. Oftentimes there's going to have a label somewhere on the label say, hey, this scored like 92 points, or look for the ones that are like 94, 95. Like those are going to be better. If it's anything in the 80s, don't fucking buy those. Life is too short for shitty beer or shitty wine. So if you're looking at a wine score that's in the 80s, just pass. You don't need that stuff. I wouldn't even cook with it.
No. Yeah. Italian, look out. That's Chianti or something, yeah?
I don't know. The Italians make some really good wines. I think anecdotally from friends of mine who've traveled to Italy, they all come home with the same stories. Like the best wine I had was this little old guy at a gas station, and poured it into a paper, like the paper cone cup you get at the water cooler kind of thing. He would pour it into one of those at the gas station from a fusti, which is a large stainless steel vessel with a spigot on it.
Yeah.
And he just pour that.
Make that.
Yeah, and he make it, and it's like, here, you like wine? I make you mine. You try my wine.
Yeah.
And it's always the best wine. And I don't know if my friends all went to the same gas station and little somewhere in Italy.
You just climb the little hill and right.
It's just over there,
over the gas station. Is this huge vineyard.
Yeah, and the guy's about 3 feet tall and like whatever. So they all have that kind of story. And I'm of the opinion these days that the Italians make excellent wines and nobody talks about them because they're too busy talking. Like the French are taking up all of the airspace in wine, French and Californian wines and Argentine. And I think the Italians are going like, let the French talk about their wine. We're too busy drinking.
Argentinian here, we're drinking.
Argentina has a fantastic grape growing thing going on right now. The Malbec in this is Argentinian. The Bonarda, it's a French variety. Dolce Noir is the variety, but outside of France, it usually gets called Bondara.
This is international here.
Syrah is the French, the Syrah grape. Usually gets called a Shiraz if it's grown outside of France. It is the same grape, but depending on
climate. Like if it's a cooler climate, it might be called a Syrah. If it's a warm climate, ferment for that, they'll call it Shiraz. But it is the same grape.
Shiraz. I'm drinking more of it, Ben. Thank you for bringing this in, and thank you for making us do an episode on wine.
I think they're fun.
You know, I mean, that's one thing as beer homebrewers, we don't think about too much. And it's one thing I've always thought about it. I've always thought about doing it. I've always thought about, bottling, and that's probably my deterrent.
But everything else is kind of, especially with kits, like you're talking 30 minutes on day one.
Yeah.
If you're transferring to secondary or doing clair, but that's another 30 minutes.
And honestly,
and then the only chore is bottling, but
it's so less than brewing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's almost like just double cider making.
Right.
You got to do about twice the work. No, not quite.
There's a little bit more babysitting
with wine, right?
Particularly if I'm if I'm fermenting on skins or whole fruit, because you can make wine out of just about anything.
Now, do I need to feed it when I'm fermenting?
Nutrition is important. Okay. So nutrients, as beer brewers,
does my kit come with nutrients?
They're already in there. They're ready to rock and roll.
They're
in the juice already.
In the juice already. So I don't have to feed it.
Yeah, it's all set. You're just adding. I think you're adding just the oak, the bentonite, juice, water, yeast.
And let it sit.
Yeah. And let it grow. It fucking ferments.
Well, let it sit.
Yeah.
I thought I had to. Like if you want to do mead a little bit quicker, you can feed your mead and put a paddle down and give it some oxygen and feed it a little bit.
Yeah, I don't have the instructions. So they're either already included in the juice or it is included with the packet.
I don't have to do that like 1 week or 2 weeks after fermentation.
No, you're it's all in at once. You're fine.
After it starts.
Yeah, not like
because wine fermentation takes a while, right?
Well, ideally, in all of our ferments, whether it's mead, wine, cider, beer, hard alcohol, any of that stuff, I want to see sugar conversion inside a week. Period.
Right.
Doesn't matter. The secondary ferments and the tertiary products like acetaldehyde, diacetyl, those kind of like stuff to clean up.
So I'm going to keep
that's
my
week
oak
2.
I'm going to keep my oak in there or whatever they give me. I'm going to keep that during ferment.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And if you're transferring to secondary according to the instructions,
it won't fall down in like the cake down in there.
It will. It'll settle in there and you'll rack off of it.
Right.
Leaving all the solids behind. A lot of times these kits are going to be the oak will be and a lot of those oak, and let's talk about oak for a minute, because these are often, depending on the variety, can be as fine as sawdust or up to like small chips. And what we're really doing with this oak and the shape of it, I mean, there's been some that have had like spheres or cubes or something.
Yeah, but like you've got shards or like shavings. That's going to be the best surface.
It's rapid.
Yeah,
it's rapid because it's lots of surface.
Yeah,
lots of surface.
Surface area.
Yeah.
Square inch of surface area.
Yeah, so like little centimeter squares don't have as much surface as irregular chunky bits.
Smooth.
So yeah, and you get into like spirals or which have less surface area.
Right, that's what we'd use.
But lots of mass for long term.
Some beer maybe. Yeah. I would do that, but now okay. If I'm like getting some of these chips, some of these oak chips in my stuff, and I throw it in during fermentation. And bam, the oak chips sink. Now it starts fermenting. I get my yeast start falling out. Now it makes a cake, and now I don't get my oak chips. Maybe I should.
Well, the oak have already done their job.
Yeah.
The oak have already done their job.
In 2 days, the oak does its job.
Well, your ferment it's going to hang out there for at least 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks before you do anything to it. So the oak is still in solution. You've now made alcohol, which is an excellent solvent.
Right.
So it's going to be extracting tannins. It's going to be extracting vanillins. It's going to be extracting structure.
Oak chips would stay in suspension.
Even if they sink, they're still in solution, though.
Right. But if you start getting yeast around them, then they're not going to be able to put off their oakiness.
Not a problem.
Why?
Again, we have lots of surface area. It's in contact full time.
I'm going to make an experiment. and I'm gonna keep from I'm gonna keep back
you do
half.
staggered oaking.
Staggered oaking. Once in primary, once in secondary.
A lot of now
you got me intrigued.
In
See,
the
you
kit,
did this on purpose, Ben.
Absolutely.
You got me intrigued in wine.
A lot of the kit is
give me
it is
another
done.
challenge.
They've taken a lot of process and they've simplified it down to like countertop as friendly as it can be. In fact, these kits are guaranteed. If something did wrong, like you call me up and I was like, hey, we'll ship you a new one.
Wow.
We'll take care of that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So that's pretty. There's our slight departures from say traditional whole fruit winemaking, particularly whole fruit winemaking. You just crush grape, you ferment on skins and all that pulp, but every day you have to punch the cap, they call it. All that fruit sitting in your fermenter, it floats, so you need a huge fermenter for not as much wine. With all that fruit in there, it floats, and it can also dry out, and it'll trap heat and carbon dioxide, which could cook your yeast because fermentation is thermogenic. They're creating heat as they go, and if the heat has no place to go through that fruit cap that's now jellified and solidified on top.
So do I have an airlock just the same?
Still have an airlock. And some of those fermenters for wine, you'll see don't even have an airlock. It's just a loose fitting lid, lets it off gas constantly. It makes it easier so you can punch the cap. You just sanitize your spoon or they have fancy tools for that naturally. But I use a spoon.
All right,
so sanitize the spoon. Hit the mic
with the spoon,
and I open the lid really easy, and I just mush it down into the goopy down. And,
Okay. So do I, as special equipment for winemaking, do I need special equipment? Do I need
if you're
certain tools?
If you're a brewer, about the only different kit wise is going to be like a bigger fermenter potentially, especially if you're doing whole fruit wines.
If it
and a corker,
8 gallon, 10 gallon. If I had a 10-gallon bucket, cool.
You'd be doing fine. In an 8-gallon bucket, I have successfully done like 11 pounds of fruit in like a mead, but it was full at the top.
Yeah, I got to buy new bottles.
Yeah,
I got to buy a corker.
The corker would be the thing to go. And corkers, okay, these days, I mean, there's a host of like antique designs. Some of them sort of like look like a pair of pliers with this that you'd squeeze around the cork, and then there's a wooden head, and you're supposed to pound that down with a mallet.
Ow!
Yeah, it's not pretty. It's not great.
Yeah.
The cork's you have to compress the cork to get it into the bottle, and then it's the pressure exerting against as it tries to expand. That's what seals it. So there's also like double lever Portuguese style, they call them double lever corkers, and they're about 14 inches tall, 2 big old handles.
Squishes it.
Yeah, and they do okay.
And
and that's what we used. Here's the.
Then I need a bottle head like the plastic thing that goes to crown.
Well, if it's a wine cork, if you've stabilized your wine, cork does the job.
Okay.
I
don't have to put the plastic around it.
No,
that's fancy.
The winemaker Stu, he likes to do the fancy touch.
Yeah.
And that's just like a Mylar, shrink wrap.
Cool.
It is pretty cool. It's got the little pull off tab and kind of stuff. Pro. Yeah, it looks pro. And it's really good wine. I'm looking forward to seeing him again.
Whose is this?
This is my friend Stu Metcalf.
Stu, thank you, Stu.
Yeah. Cheers.
Excellent, man. Excellent. Cheers, Ben. Cheers, Stu.
That is a really fucking good wine.
Yeah.
Very full bodied, like nice little like tannic.
Yep.
But nothing like
there.
nothing like it's
right
not severe.
Jaws.
It's not severe.
It's good.
I really like that.
Really balanced.
Malbec is a fun grape. Syrah is a fun grape. I'll take the Malbec.
It smells like wine to me.
Yeah, my dad's classic line. He likes to make a lot of wine, but he'll drink it. It's like, grapey.
Grapey. I can tell if it's good or not.
Yeah. Drink a lot of wine and find out what you like. So back to kind of like wine. A corker will be the deal. We should talk about corks a little bit.
All right, do it. What? Yeah, that's what I was just going to ask. We got the traditional
there's
cork.
Natural corks.
We got these synthetic corks.
There are cork chunks that have been glued back together, and that's called an agglomerated cork. It's natural cork, and then it's held together with a resin. And then there is a synthetic cork.
Yeah.
if you're into natural corks, that would be, carved from the bark of the cork tree into those classic shapes, and it would be a solid cork. But the bad news is all of the really, really good corks are gone. That's an older growth cork tree.
All the cork trees?
Yeah, all the old growth cork trees are bye-bye.
Yep. That's why they're synthetic now.
Well, yeah, actually, that is. On the long enough timeline, all of us will be into synthetics as the
now, is it
quality
that
of cork.
big of a deal?
All right.
Cork lets it breathe.
It lets a small amount of oxygen. It is permeable, and it is part of the program for some of those like 100-year-old Pinot Noirs that are supposed to cost $10,000 a bottle kind of thing. Is a little bit of that oxidation quality. You and me making our own wines, we're not going to live 100 fucking years, 100 more years from where we're at today. I'm not really storing my wine that long. A lot of the winery grade corks, and corks are graded like winery grade, A grade, B grade, C. As the good cork has disappeared from the planet, all they've done is really move the goalposts in what qualifies now as a winery grade. A winery grade cork today might be the B grade cork of 100 years ago.
Yes.
Right? Like, as it's the best you can get.
Yes.
So,
the winemaker of back when would be snubbing his nose at this newfangled cork. Are you kidding me?
I've bought $60 bottles of wine and stored them appropriately for a couple of years, and then taken it down and put my wine tool in there, whether it's a Rabbit or the Maitre D style,
and the cork crumbled?
the corker, and it just shreds.
Yeah,
and that is no fun.
Did you store it upright?
No.
You stored it down?
So you store natural corks on their side.
On their side, right?
Yeah. And it is the moisture.
Yeah, the moisture
requirement to do it. Now, synthetic corks.
But this cork just crumbled.
Synthetic corks do not require that, so you can store these guys right back upright in the box.
Oh, right.
Which is kind of cool.
Now they'll still let the oxygen in.
No.
But
these are also generally wines I'm not aging. I'm not intending to age
hold on.
wines for more than 10 years.
Are you saying that when you age a wine, you want to let a little bit of that oxygen in to give it an aging flavor?
Not really.
Okay,
I don't want, because oxygen does.
Perfect.
Oxygen does kind of the same things that, it makes that shitty sherry kind of flavor.
Oxygen is death.
Yeah, right.
It kills everything. Really.
Yeah, it's the leading cause of death is oxygen exposure. Yeah. All cases actually. So oxidation is going to make your wine kind of taste like shitty sherry, and it's not that sherry tastes bad; it's that oxidized sherry tastes like shit. That bottle your mom had in the cupboard that everybody took one nip off of, like nobody got drunk on that stuff.
No, because it was bad. I'll just leave I'll just leave this bad alcohol in the kitchen for my kids to try on their own, and they'll drink this one, and they'll never drink alcohol.
But
again.
a 2022 consumed 4, 5, 6, years later.
Yep.
That's
that
a treat.
Cork is
That's a
be
treat. Yeah, and this
fine.
held up. This held up.
No problem. You're storing it upright.
Yeah. On the synthetics, you can do that.
No problem.
You'll notice there's no staining on this cork.
None. Beauty.
Yeah. Which is pretty cool. Part of the deal about laying the bottle on its side, it kind of takes up more space. You need a horizontal rack for your wine. My hack for that is I just turn the bottle upside down back into the box from which I bought the bottles.
Yeah.
And then I can stack them all nice and pretty in a corner of the cellar or whatever.
Wow. And they still get oxygen in.
They're fine. They're fine.
No seepage.
No seepage.
No
yeah.
leakage.
I did have a guy call me up.
The hydraulic pressure's got to be a little heavier.
He bought some wines and some wine corks, and he bottled his batch. And he sent me pictures, and all the wine started like seeping, and they were natural cork. It started seeping through the agglomerated cork.
Yeah. And he stored them upside down?
Well, he stored them on their side. But either it got too hot, which increased the pressure inside the bottle, and that's what I think happened, or he prematurely bottled, meaning there were sugars left behind, and he didn't stabilize. Because some of that stabilization protocol is, hey, that's the sulfates everybody's up in arms about.
Right.
And we can talk about that after a break.
But we need it.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when we come back from a break. The demonized sulfite camp.
The demonized sulfites.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm getting a good picture in my head. I'm going to mull that over.
There you go. We'll take a little break. We'll go pay some bills, and we'll come back around.
We're going to hear from our sponsor, yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Good guys.
We'll be right back. Cheers.
This place feels off. That's because it's fermenting. Dark ales, stouts, and porters, all crafted to perfection with the equipment and guidance from Northwest Brewers Supply.
Fermenting? You mean this isn't some paranormal event?
Only if you consider perfect beer supernatural.
The answers you seek are brewing at Northwest Brewer Supply. Visit us in Burlington or at nwbrewers.com. Make your next beer your best beer.
Beer News with Andrew, where I come and give you international stories, national stories, state, maybe even your local backyard. All right, here we go again, hopheads. Well, you know, every week the beer world shifts. Sometimes with a bang, sometimes with a quiet ripple that changes everything. Today we're chasing these ripples across the continents, across the country, and right here in Washington State. All right, so across this global beer landscape, 2026 is shaping up to be the year drinkers collectively tapped the brakes. After a decade defined by maximalism, dry-hopped everything, pastry stouts that drank like dessert buffets, fruit bomb sours, the world is quietly rediscovering balance. Brewers in Europe, Asia, and Australia report a noticeable shift. Consumers are gravitating toward clean lagers, refined ales, and beers that emphasize craft over spectacle. Economic pressure, it probably plays a role, but so does palate fatigue. They're simply seeking beers that they can enjoy more than once. This great rebalancing, as they call it, is more than a trend. It's a recalibration. Breweries are dusting off old classic recipes, redesigning their core offerings, and rediscovering the beauty of restraint. For many, it's a return to the fundamentals that made craft beer compelling in the first place. This global shift may set the stage for a conversation about maturity in the craft beer industry. Not stagnation, evolution. It's a reminder that innovation doesn't always mean louder. Sometimes it means cleaner, tighter, and more intentional. All right, now let's bring things back home to the U.S., where the U.S. beer industry is showing the pulse of optimism. The National Beer Wholesalers Association's latest Beer Purchasers Index, the BPI as you will, jumped 14 points in January, making the strongest reading since mid-2025. Since mid-2025. For an industry that's weathered closures, consolidation, shifting consumer habits, this is a rare, bright spot. Nearly every category, from craft to premium to imports, saw improved purchasing confidence. Only cider lagged behind. Poor cider. We're going to have another show on cider. The distributors are signaling that the shelves are moving again, and that's a meaningful indicator of breweries of all size. What's driving this uptick? Analysts point to a mix of factors. It's a stabilizing economy, renewed interest in sessionable and approachable beers, strong performance for non-alcoholic and low ABV categories, sessional beers, seasonal resets as retailers prepare for the spring. So remember, this is a perfect moment to contrast distributor optimism with consumer behavior. Are drinkers truly returning to beer, or are distributors simply betting on the rebound? Either way, the numbers give breweries a reason to breathe a little easier. And back in Washington State, the bill that might not make national headlines could still reshape how breweries operate here in Washington State. House Bill 2207 has advanced through committee, aiming to modernize the state's beer warehousing laws. If passed, licensed warehouses could be allowed to store and handle beer under the same rules currently applied to wine and spirits. For small and mid-sized breweries, this is more than bureaucratic housekeeping. It could mean lower storage and logistic costs, more flexible distribution options, easier scaling for growing breweries, and a more level playing field for the larger producers. Washington's craft beer scene is one of the most vibrant in the country. It thrives on accessibility and innovation. This bill supports that ecosystem by reducing the friction behind the scenes. This is a rare regulatory story that's actually pro-brewer. It's a chance to highlight how policy can quietly empower craft communities, especially in a state where beer is part of its cultural fabric. So what do we take from today's stories? The world is rediscovering balance. The U.S. market is showing signs of life, and Washington State brewers might soon get a smoother path from tank to tap. 3 stories, 1 theme. Craft beer is evolving, not louder, not wilder, but smarter. This has been a Beer News with Andrew. Stay curious, stay thirsty, and always keep your glass half full.
Welcome back to the Beercraft Homebrewing Podcast Wine Edition tonight. We're still sipping this lovely wine Stu gave to us.
I see you got the last of the wine there. Wino.
I topped you off there as best I could. I almost missed, like I was about to pour onto the table.
You know you're not allowed to pour around here.
That's true.
We got to come up with like some funny nickname for you.
Right. The one-eyed brewer.
The one-eyed brewer. No, the one-eyed pourer.
Right, like the mess maker. Yeah.
The one-eyed mess maker.
I'm the guy Mr. Clean warned you
That's
about.
right. We were just pouring wine in a Belgian tulip glass.
Yeah, we were looking at that thing. It was pretty cool.
A rinse, a cachon. It's a Belgian tulip glass that hosts a pig on its stem.
Right. Pretty cool looking glass.
Yep. It's got a pink pig having a couple of like barley stems around him. And he's drinking a nice draft beer out of a mug.
It's a smart pig.
Smart pig.
Smart pig. Beats the hell out of that Wilbur guy.
Wilbur. I think maybe the wine a little bit drips down the center of the glass right into the pig. No, that would be really cool.
That would be kind of cool.
Feel like a little crevice. And then that's your last shot almost.
Yeah, I think that's a little reflective action.
Yeah.
So last time we were talking, we were before the break, we were talking about stabilizing your wine. A gentleman either hadn't stabilized his wine and had some fermentation in the bottle, or got too warm and the pressure was forcing wine out of the cork. And right, because if it heats up, liquids expand. It's got to go somewhere. It's either going to eject the cork or go through.
Right.
If the path of least resistance was
path of least resistance, and the cork is the path of least resistance right there.
It's a little interesting.
So
some of that stabilization.
The reason it could be is because it could have fermented just a tiny bit more,
right?
At a little bit higher than cellar temperature. That's why we cellar. But if something happened to where this was in the temperature, just that right temperature. What is it? The Cinderella belt.
Right.
Bam.
Yeah, a little fermentation. I mean, like a lot of fermentation, it'll throw the cork across the room. And that is why we cage champagne corks, is just to hold the pressure in there. That wire cage is not just vanity. It's
bubbles,
working
baby.
overtime, man.
It's for the bubbles, baby.
Yeah, as soon as you start unwinding that thing, like keep your face away from that cork, because she could go at any second. There's a lot of pressure in there. But
now, is champagne a wine?
Champagne is a wine.
Ooh.
It is. So champagne is a sparkling white wine. It can only be champagne if it's made in the Champagne region of France. It is
French?
Yeah.
Again?
Let them. It's fine. Everything else is a sparkling white wine, and that's fine.
All right.
The Italians have a sparkling white wine they call Prosecco, and it might even have regional protection as well. Just like tequila, Stilton cheese, all sorts of food items.
If I made sparkling
Mulberry
wine,
pork pies are
Prosecco.
protected. Yeah. Kolsch is technically protected, but we don't care about that. So
no. Isn't it the way you spell it?
No, we do what we want, because that's a European Union. We don't care about that yet.
We don't care.
I mean, it's just like the Chinese don't respect U.S. copyright, so it's the same everywhere we go.
Right.
Yep.
And where are they? The Danish?
Danish, which ones? Anyway, so we were talking about stabilizing wine. This is a lot of times. This is where the sulfites come into play. It gets a lot of bad reputation.
I hear a lot about it.
Yeah,
headaches. And,
it
doesn't make people feel
some people are in fact allergic to those, and if that's the case, they're probably not drinking a lot either, because sulfites are a naturally occurring product of fermentation. So all yeast makes sulfites. To the degree that your body can physically tell the difference between those. Well, I mean, sulfur dioxide created with sodium metabisulfite versus sulfur dioxide created by yeast is still the same chemical.
Are you saying that, hey, this might not be a problem that we're perceiving?
Well, here's some of the wick and twisted history on the sulfite, like labeling. The push to label sulfite added in wine was kind of a big deal years ago, but it was pushed by a group of teetotalers, people who didn't want you to drink. So they said sulfites are bad, they're allergens, it needs to be on the label, in a hope to scare more people off from drinking.
Oh, and it has, right?
Kind of a to a degree. There's a whole natural wine movement. No sulfites added, nothing. That's fine. Those wines also don't last for very long. It's one of the functions of the
right.
Well, not only, even if there's no sugars to ferment, the sulfur dioxide is an antioxidant, so it protects against free radical damage. And a free radical is just an electron, circling the atom of one atom, the nucleus of one atom, jumping ship and joining to stabilize another atom. That's and that causes some damage. So oxidation becomes a effect. Oxidation will turn your red wine brown or your white wine brown as well. So it also give you the cardboard flavor, shitty sherry.
You've got a natural wine for maybe 6 weeks.
It's not as long as you'd like. Yeah, how about that? Okay. There was one of I was reading about I can't remember his name now. It was a pretty big time natural wine producer.
After it's complete.
Yeah, and he went into his cellar to inspect his private collection, the stuff he had been aging to release in future years. That he anticipated making a lot of money on. And he started tasting them, and they had all oxidized. And he ended up destroying 3 to 4 years worth of production that had been sitting in his cellars for more time. So it was a pretty rough day. And he's like, I can't keep doing that. That's not the business of making wine and selling wine and aging wine and doing those things doesn't really allow for that natural kind of. So, part of that sulfite thing, is natural versus unnatural. Well, yeast naturally makes sulfur dioxide, right. So there's nothing unnatural about that.
What you're doing is you're going to stop this. So let's get back to what we're talking about.
Right.
The sulfites.
So sodium metabisulfite will stop a ferment, and it's also an antioxidant. We're going to add that.
Sodium metabisulfite?
Sodium metabisulfite or potassium metabisulfite.
Okay.
Both of those are going to do the same thing. Those are sulfites.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeast also create that during fermentation as an anti-competitive factor. In fact, certain wine yeast, like champagne yeast, are listed as killer strains, as in they don't like to share. So they will produce a lot of it that they're immune to, but everybody else ain't. So it does keep wild yeast bacteria at bay and lets the dominant culture be their reigning champion. So it is added late in the show to stop a ferment. Perhaps you want to add sugar, or you're stopping a ferment because you want a slightly sweeter finish. Right? Because wine, you'll see dry wine, semi-sweet, and sweet wines. That is a function of how much sugar is left in the wine. Most often, though, however, the sugar's added after the fact, after fermentation.
Now, does that lowers my alcohol then?
As a function of total potential alcohol for the given sugar content, yes. But depending on the wine, that could be the thing you want. If you're making a semi-sec Pinot Grigio versus a dry or a Riesling, semi-sec usually off dry or semi-sec. A little sugar goes nice.
Usually 14%. Yeah,
but they're still 12 to 14. Who cares? I'm drinking it. I'm getting drunk. They're doing the job. It's got a little sweeter finish. And then your port wine, that would be your sweet wine. Your ports, your sherries.
Oh, I love port.
I do too. They're really good.
I don't have it very often. Once a year, I think I'll buy a bottle if I see it and remember.
Yeah, I would drink it more often if I did.
There's one, Sandeman?
My wife and I have a favorite. It's a little winery in Paso Robles, California, called Dofo Winery. The winemaker Marcelo Dofo, a little Argentinian guy, like makes some. He's made the best Cabernet Sauvignon I've ever had. It's really Paso Robles. Get your ass down there. It's a great little winery.
Paso Robles.
Paso Robles, California.
Whereabout is that?
So California, that is northeast LA.
Okay.
Yeah, you're getting it up in the mountains near like Solvang and some of those places. Very
Paso
cool.
Robles.
Yeah, Paso Robles.
Paso Robles.
Paso Robles. I love it. Get out there. We had their membership for a while.
There's another cool wine
that?
getaway down at the Guadalupe Valley in Mexico.
Oh, very cool.
Yep.
Very cool.
They're up and coming.
Gotta
Up and coming, a little valley down there.
We're going to Mexico in a couple weeks.
Oh, where?
We're going to Cabo.
Cabo, yeah, it's way down there.
Yeah,
There's no wine in Cabo.
No, but I can buy it. I can buy everything there.
You can buy tequila.
Yeah.
There's probably cactus. You can buy cactus. Make
So
tequila.
back to we were talking about wines.
We got to make a tequila episode now.
All right. We'll just. Oh, I know things. I've learned things about tequila.
Things?
I know things.
Right.
Yeah. I know. I drink things and know things. That's what I do.
It takes so many cactus to make tequila. It's crazy.
So we're talking about like the sulfite. The other stabilizer you're going to see is potassium sorbate.
Yep.
When we've talked about in the show, when you were making cider, because you wanted to back sweeten your cider, you wanted to add a little sugar to it, and you didn't want it to ferment in the bottle and blow up.
Right.
Well, winemakers are going to do the same thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can't have it in the bottle. And
Right. So sulfite's going to stop our ferment. Sorbate keeps it from starting up again. Because the potassium metabisulfite addition, it does off gas into the headspace and neutralize and becomes inert.
And it's gone.
And if there were sugars left there, they could start up again. It didn't kill anybody. It just prevented them from metabolizing sugars
It just
for a minute.
stopped everything. It just came in and halt.
Sorbate, on the other hand, if there is no fermentation happening, as in they can't eat sugars,
Now they're the new police officers.
that prevents it from starting up again.
Hey,
yeah,
everybody go back to sleep.
Yeah.
Until we get drinking.
Yep. Very cool stuff. So you can add, if you're
Okay, so now was this demonized by more than just this this teetotaling
there is a portion of the populace who is a little anti-science, I would say right now, and doesn't understand the chemistry, thinks all chemistry is bad, is demonized all of it as unnatural. I'm like, well, no, because water's a chemical too. I mean,
it's just about the way things are put together with our molecules.
Right. Dihydrogen oxide is totally necessary.
Right.
Chemical.
It's not like
right?
chemistry
Oxygen
means
is
we're
a chemical.
creating crazy chemicals. We're just figuring it out.
Yeah. So there's a bit of like scientific illiteracy and misunderstanding and unwillingness to do some research. We see this in kind of like all sectors as well. So
I mean,
that's okay.
Look at the bread industry.
We're here to have good conversations about things.
Everything's been demonized.
Talk about real things and science and butter. Butter's good. I love butter
and bacon. I use bacon grease.
I do too.
Yeah.
I use a lot of the rendered pork fat from the Mexican grocery after they make carnitas.
Yeah.
I'll just buy a pint of
that.
That's so good. The whole house smells good.
Oh yeah. I make my bacon. I throw diced jalapenos in there, and then that bacon grease is it's pretty green.
Yeah.
That's
I
what
see that.
use.
Yeah.
That's good. That's yummy.
Yeah. Nothing makes toast better. We got 5 minutes. All right. Well, I did have an interesting thing to share. I read an article this morning, and I thought it was kind of cool because we're going to do a show about wine. One of the things that researchers have long wondered about is how did we end up with wine? How did we get to wine? Because one of the things they've found is that Saccharomyces cerevisiae, the yeast we know for wine and has been used forever, it's really good at making alcohol. It's tolerant to alcohol, so not every yeast can make that claim. Lots of yeast can turn sugar into something, maybe a little bit alcohol, but a little bit too much alcohol, and they die. So what they found is that on fresh grown grapes, there's not a lot of Saccharomyces cerevisiae on there. So how do we get to wine? If the competitive flora, microflora of the grape was not supporting that industry,
right?
So it was let's see, it was a researcher in Kyoto, Japan. They started looking at like, well, if we're not finding it here, where else can we look? So they started looking at raisins. And the reason they started looking at raisins is if we look at kind of the historical record of regions of the world that make wine, usually they're in the southern, closer to the equator than we are here in the north. There's kind of this grape belt.
Yep.
North of that, we have the grain belt, and that's where we live. And so those are beer cultures live in the north.
Microclimate.
Right. So you got to have it, and then and it's north and south of the equator. You'll see fruit wines being popular closer to the equator.
Right.
And so they started looking at some of these other places that have long-standing wine drinking histories that are not in those wine growing regions. Where did it come from? So they looked at raisins because, well, raisins as drying a grape in the sunshine would be about as old as grapes themselves. If you're trying to preserve your harvest for later, I mean, you can eat a couple of grapes today, but you want to eat some grapes for later, right? So sun drying would have been an easy adaptation early man could make to preserve harvest.
Yeah.
Drying it out, let it dry. Well, what they found is that drying out those grapes actually increased, just by sitting out in the sun, Saccharomyces cerevisiae populations increased on grapes. And so if you got grapes wet again, you'd end up with wine. Now, how great is that? So they found higher concentrations of Saccharomyces cerevisiae, the species responsible for making wine, on sun-dried grown grapes, which was pretty cool.
Do we do that nowadays?
Outside, so there are a few wines. In fact, there's an Italian variety, Amarone, which is usually a Sangiovese and a couple other Italian-grown grapes. So Amarone is another one of those regional specific varietals, but they will spend 9 months drying in the shed into raisins, and every time you see an Amarone, you are going to pay, if it's in a restaurant, you are going to pay starting $100, period. If it is a retail environment for a bottle.
Oh, bottle.
They don't do by the glass on this one. The retail price in a store would be a $50 bottle to start. It takes 3 times as much fruit to make a gallon of wine. Yeah. So just the water reduction or the liquid reduction of the grape when you dry it out.
Right. I mean, you're rehydrating it, but
a bit, and the sugars are still there. The liquids aren't.
Yep.
It's just going to take more of them to get you where you need to be. So that is a grape that we are still doing that kind of tradition with. But it got me thinking, because there's this old world protocol for winemakers or mead makers. And it's to get nutrition into your ferment is throw a handful of grapes in there. And I think this is like it's bullshit. And I'll tell you,
a handful of grapes.
If you throw a handful of grapes into your mead, you are only getting trace nutrition. It is not enough for your yeast. There's not enough nitrogen in there.
So what if I throw
the fact that winemakers using 100% grape have to add nutrition to their ferment to get it to finish, it is a magical thing to suggest that a handful of raisins, which were grapes, are now dried out, would have more nutrition. It's not concentrating. The same amount of nutrition would be there after drying it into a raisin as it was to start with. So it's a little bit magical thinking. However, I think there's a strong possibility that in the protocol of winemaking that may have survived in antiquity, which started with dry grape, add water, get wine, that the original, it's almost
like extract beer.
That some of the carryovers of that process might have been need to inoculate your fruit must, add sun-dried raisins to get yeast to ferment wine. So one really might not have been a nutritional requirement, might have just been the inoculation point. Andrew's freaking out over here because I'm about to go over the timeline, which means we got to pay for more bandwidth on this show. So we should probably wrap this up.
We're getting it. It's a great show.
I'm into it.
You proposed a new challenge for me, making some wine.
Make some wine. And you should make some wine out there, too. If you're listening out there in listener land, wine's a lot of fun. It's pretty tasty. It goes good with steak.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You know what's good with wine?
I love steak.
More wine. How about that?
More wine.
Cheers.
And red meat.
Yeah. All right. That'll be it for this week. Thanks for joining us.
All right.
Right here on The Beer Craft.
Cheers.
See you next time.